you guys. How's it going? Good. I'm really, really excited to be here. Where am I again? Arizona, right. Tucson? Scottsdale. Okay, really like it here. So I just want to sort of see who lives here. Show of hands, please. Look at all of you. Great. So you look like a nice lady. You live in a nice place?
Yeah.
Like how nice? Scale from 1 to 10.
I'd say it's an
8. Nice. Washer and dryer?
Yeah.
Top loading or side loading? Top. Cool. Can I stay with you tonight? Cool. Thank you so much. So about 7 months ago, I did a major purge. I got rid of so much stuff. It was so liberating. Got rid of almost all my books, all of my CDs, a lot of kitchen stuff, clothes I never wear, my plants, my house. And I started traveling the world indefinitely. I became a global citizen, an international woman of mystery. So this is a really big dream of mine for a long time, and I thought to myself, I could easily be one of the coolest people I know. And then this other part of me thought, holy freaking crap, what have I done? I'm basically homeless now. Great. What happens if I can't handle it and I just drop the ball and I wind up moving in with my mother for the rest of my life? Which I totally did for the first month, by the way. So fun. All we did was lie around and eat and hang out in our robes. Here's a picture of us in her bed. We're surrounded by dogs and People magazines, but you can't see that. So there were so many places where I felt that I could slip up. I had just spent the past 5 years building a successful business as a life coach and a writer, and I was worried that all this moving around would make me lose my focus, and what if I never wrote another book or got another client, and how the hell am I supposed to meet the man of my dreams if one day I'm in Yonkers and the next I'm in Czechoslovakia? This brought up a lot of fears in other people as well. I got lots of really concerned looks and reminders that the world is not the most stable place right now. Aren't you scared you're going to get lost or hurt? And what's going to happen to your mail? It's like, oh my God, you're right. I didn't even think about that. What is going to happen to my mail? It made me realize that when we step outside the boundaries of our comfort zones, it brings up a lot of fears in us and others. And it reminds us that we go through life with two main companions, fear and faith. Fear is always right here, just waiting for you to catch its eye. You know, if you decide to focus on something like, your car could be getting broken into in the parking lot right now, or a gigantic space rock could fly into the earth and kill us all instantly, or those pictures that you took that one time when you got really drunk with those guys could wind up on the internet. Meanwhile, faith is down here frantically waving its arms around, desperately trying to be heard, and for the most part, failing. Because living in fear is socially acceptable behavior, and living by faith is not. So I am interested in exploring what that would look like if it was reversed. If we lived in a society that valued leaping off into the unknown instead of playing it safe. You know, if we heard things like, instead of hearing things like, be careful, we heard things like, go scare the crap out of yourself. This is why I really love traveling, because traveling forces you to constantly fling yourself into the unknown and see if you can sink or swim, which is the only way to build up the muscle you need to kick away the fear that stands in between us and what we want in life. So my big first solo trip to somewhere far away and intimidating where I knew no one was India. I have no idea why I decided to go there. All I know is there was this little voice in my head that would just not shut up about it, even though the thought totally terrified me.
Do it.
It was intimidating and freaky. It's like, all right, fine. So I went out and I bought a ticket to New Delhi. And then I proceeded to spend the next 3 months waking up at exactly 3:33 in the morning in a cold sweat, wondering what the hell I was trying to prove. I imagined myself as a little itty-bitty dot all the way on the other side of the earth where nobody knew who I was and nobody cared about me. and I could easily disappear into oblivion without a trace. So I started fantasizing about seriously injuring myself, or maybe somebody I loved would die so I wouldn't have to go. But no such luck. It's not uncommon for me to have these kinds of morose thoughts when my inner voice speaks to me, because it's usually saying something I really don't want to hear.
Apologize, even though you are right. Quit your high-paying job and start your own company. Write a book about your lesbian experience.
My dad's not even dead yet. So, and I know the more that I don't want to do it, I know it's going to change my life radically. So when I do it, it usually does, and it usually takes some major pushing on my own. So this is how I felt when I went to India. I knew it was going to be this incredible experience, but I was also so terrified, so I go off to the airport as if I'm heading to my own funeral. Lots of drama. But the second I step inside the international terminal, I'm met with just like this sea of colors of people from all over the world, and they're dressed in turbans and saris and business suits and pajamas, and there I am in my shiny shoes and my little outfit, because I still like to get dressed up when I fly. And they're speaking languages I've never heard, and I'm just like, my God, I'm going to India, this is so cool. So, as usual, 10 times worse in my head than it is in reality. And so I go, and and especially the part about being on the other side of the planet all by myself as this little dot. That was the part I was the most scared about, because I was just like, I just thought that I was going to be alone floating out there. But the second I get on the plane, I sit next to this really nice lady who tells me she likes my shirt and offers me an M&M, and it hits me like a ton of bricks. You're not alone, you ding-dong. You're surrounded by people. And one of the most basic human needs is connection. So from that moment on, my trip to India was a full-on, balls-out, over-the-top blast. I ended up having romances with men from all over the world who couldn't pronounce my name. I went to a mustache competition up in the mountains. I bought all sorts of colorful fabrics. I lost my passport. I bribed a cop. I rented a motorcycle and drove off into the mountains. I ended up writing some of the best stuff I've ever written in my life. I nearly got killed by a monkey. I chased cows off the porch of my hotel room. And I anchored in a love of travel that has stayed with me for my whole life and has really changed my life. I also witnessed a heartbreaking level of poverty that I honestly could not believe existed. And I thought when I returned to the States, I would be so grateful to have my tiny little apartment and my rickety car and my job that I kind of hated. But the exact opposite happened. Within that year, I ended up launching my coaching business and tripling my income and moving into my dream house by the beach, all from following my little inner voice into the void. So what I would like for you guys to do right now is to turn to the person next to you, have a little connection, and tell them one thing that you're terrified to do that you know will totally change your life. You have 10 seconds, and then I'm going to cut you off. So go. Okay, so now you've outed yourself in your big fear. So do it this week. I'm not kidding. When are you going to do it, right? Do it this week. Take the first step into leaping into this, because this is how you truly change your life. If it was that easy to get successful, everybody would be successful. So you got to scare the crap out of yourself on a regular basis. And now's your chance. All right, so thank you so much. I'm going to go get my stuff. See you at your house.